from Leon. So it will be a little bit about, I call it a mini EU versus NA here. Just by looking at the Kestrel, he
Yeah.
can't fail because otherwise then EU wins.
However, North America is the current champions. You know, we have two teams that won the VIPL.
Oh, right,
Yeah,
right.
yeah.
But wait,
EU.
wait.
I don't even think EU went out of the group stage.
But wait, VIPL is in Korea, right?
Yeah.
Has nothing to do with that. So guys, we are in the
It's just a
game.
showcase.
Our casters here, Tasty Bacon, and no one else than Forecourt Jester calling the action here. Hammers Kinetic, Noble Esports, take it away, guys.
All right, thank you very much, Blueberries, and here we are. The band is back together. Tasty Bacon alongside Forecourt Jester as we are getting into game number 1 of Hammers Esports Kinetic against Noble Esports. This should be a good one. Like I said, it's kind of the EU meta versus North American meta. I expect a lot of fighting from these two teams, so we'll have to see how it goes.
Well, especially after those bans. I mean, taking away Ataka means that you're going to be looking for kind of that safety bubble for that Sky, but I'm not entirely too sure that's going to happen. El Riesco on that Fortress, and that with the Glaive there as well. T-Tiger's up in lane on that Sky. Like, there is a lot of potential here for Xenotech and crew here to get some really good early momentum going.
Yeah, absolutely. As we do see in the jungle, not quite meeting up at the same time for that level 1 fight. And you got to figure that actually favors Kinetic a bit because Glaive is so strong early on with Fortress especially. So they're going to avoid that early skirmish, not have any kills going over. A little disappointing for the, everyone who likes the action, which is, I think, pretty much everyone who watches Vainglory loves to see the action, loves to see those intense fights going on. But we're going to have to wait a little bit as it is just going to continue farming. T-Tigers versus Xenotech. These are two top laners going head-to-head here.
Yeah, and putting Xenotech on that Ringo, I mean, he's going to do well. Looks like he is going to be doubling up in the weapon blade, so we're going to have to see if that will continue on or if he's going to swap over to that Crystal a little bit later. But Uni does have that double weapon as well, so if they're not going to be changing, we're going to be looking for Kinetic here to start armoring up. And the big thing is Gabe Vizzle on that Kestrel. That is going to be a huge factor when it comes to the team fights a little bit later on, Bacon.
Yeah, absolutely, and both teams posturing up in the lane. And there's going to go the Glaive with the Afterburn onto T-Tigers. That's an easy kill pickup with the help of El Riesgo and Xenotech. The 1-0 first blood going over to Noble in very rapid fashion. And that's what happens with a Glaive. Everything can be just so explosive and so quick.
Now, T-Tiger's back at that level 1 fight when he transitioned down. He did pick up those boots to help with this mobility factor, but it's just not enough. The 2-minute mark, Glaive comes into the Afterburn. They got Fortress there anyways. You can see this engage doing well for the invade as well.
Yeah, absolutely. They're going to get an invade and get a kill out of it as well. And make that 2 as they're able to pick up T-Tigers on this Sky. Now they're going to work on these backs, but El Riesgo, he is so low, but is able to survive thanks to a little bit of extra healing. So a nice advantage being picked up early on by Noble Esports.
Yeah, and again, the early game factors. I mean, they were able to get the kill in lane. They're able to fight into the backs. The whole time, those backs were actually slamming on top of T-Tigers and on top of Sweet Generous as well. So it's like they're not even just dealing with the Glaive in that regard. They had so many sources of damage, and not picking up the Fortress is definitely going to be going a long way in terms of the mobility as well as the confidence here of Noble Esports.
Yeah, definitely. So much of the game is actually, in your head. It's that mental aspect. And we've talked about in previous seasons how Hammers, they actually have a leg up in that regards. They are one of the few teams that has a coach that really works with them purely on that mental aspect. But Noble, they're going to be starting off strong here. And when you get that early momentum going in your favor, especially with this composition, it can really snowball things out of control if you're able to keep the pressure up. That's why we're seeing them do just that.
Yeah, we're trying to pin in Kinetic here on top of this turret because you know exactly where they are. They're all showing themselves on the map. There's nothing really up their sleeves in terms of surprises. Now you can go down, you can pick up some jungle. All 3 rotating are going to be picking up their items here as well, and it is going to solidify into that double weapon comp. Not only will Xenotech and his auto attacks just do some great work, but Uni can get down and dirty with the best of them, and I just don't see Kinetic keeping this position.
Yeah, and it's definitely not, as there is going to be the fight starting up. El Riesgo will actually be the first one to fall, but Sui Generous is so low that he will be answered by Xenotech, or, by,
The Xenotech got the kill.
yeah, it was Xenotech. Okay,
Mhm.
I was looking at the wrong names there, but they is going to be Noble once again looking to go for an invade. They steal away that forward healing camp, but then think better of it. They obviously know that the death timers are really low. Sui Generous was coming back into the jungle right about then. Would have been a bad idea to go for a fight, but things are again. Even though it was a 1-for-1 trade, it was Noble that were able to get that slight advantage by stealing away a camp off of it.
Now, that was actually a little bit of a misplay there from Uni. It looked like he actually tried to afterbird over the wall to catch the Kestro, who had just camoed, but wasn't actually able to pick it up. But still, I mean, the counter farming is starting to really be a little bit more evident here. If you're looking at the levels, the gold, however, not really that different. So when it comes to the items, you're seeing more or less the same level of farm. The big thing here is that Uni has gone for this early tension bone. He picks it up in and around the 5-minute mark, and that's going to be some rather important early game burst for him. It's also going to be now the buffer to let Xenotech get into that late game status so he can go for things like the Sorrow Blade and the Bonesaw, the Tyrant's Monaco a bit quicker here.
Yeah, exactly. And the early tension bow, I've always tell people, oh, actually,
Ooh.
hold on, because Uni is gonna have to use that afterburn defensively, but it ends up working out beautifully because it did do damage to the whole team. They mow down Sui Generous, and now it's just Gabe Bizzle. He's not able to get that active camo off because he's just continuously taking damage. And Noble Esports picked themselves up an ace.
A 6-minute ace, nonetheless. But the thing there is that Uni, he saw them coming in, got himself into position, and he knew as soon as all three of them entered that bush, they're just going to collapse on him. He was standing on a minion mine. I keep calling it that. A scout trap. He was standing on a scout trap. I will get that down. Oh, the steal is actually going to get blocked out. But either way, he does a ton of damage, basically erased out the sky, and then the rest of the collapse basically brings them to that 3-0, plus now a gold mine. It was a good attempt for the Kestrel one-shot, one-kill, but it will not just work whatsoever. And again, Noble Esports, with this early game, this double weapon, there's just not enough armor out there yet to kind of mitigate anything against Noble Esports.
Yeah, and early on, that tension bow just does so much damage. You saw how quickly T-Tigers got dropped thanks to that extra burst. And now Uni, he's looking for another play, but it's a 3-on-3. The death from above comes out, but it is really just to try and make sure that Noble cannot go for the engagement.
Now you can see some differences developing between Sui Generous and El Riesco. Riesco's going a little bit more damagey. He probably wants to get into that Warhorn as quick as he can because he has that Stormguard banner. But Sui Generous, he's been actually loading up a lot more on minion mines and flares. He's still on that contract. We got a fountain for both sides, but as time keeps going on, if these fights keep swinging towards Noble Esports, you're going to see the gold difference get bigger and bigger. We just now got that Sorrow Blade here for Kestrel, where we already had it there for Xenotech for a little bit now. So again, these differences are going to be starting to add up, and when you're looking for that mid-game power spike, I think right now Noble Esports is just going to hit it so much quicker.
Yeah, I mean, Hammers has done a good job of keeping it close. It is still only about 1,000 gold lead in favor of Noble. And, Hammers are a team that we've seen time and time again keep a game close, even though it looks bad for them. They keep it close and then eventually just turn it on once we get towards the later stages of the game. So we'll have to see if they can repeat that trend, or if Noble, like you said, they are going to be able to use that big power spike that they're going to hit. Well, especially once Glaive gets his next tier 3 item, and then they have another massive power spike when both Uni and Xenotech end up with their bone saws. It's ends up being just so much damage that they melt through any armor that does get built. But going back to that point, there is no armor yet.
Yeah, 0. So even if you do get the bone saws, like, they're not going to be adding that much, but just picking them up negates anything. Like, if this does go into a super late game, Kinetic facing up against double bone saws, like, it'd be way too late for that armor anyway. There goes the Hellfire, but I just don't see a follow-up here, Bacon.
Yeah, especially not when the entire team gets caught by an active camo stun. That's a really good way to negate any push. But they are going to siege up this turret, thanks to sending Gabe Vizzle back to base, or back at least to try and farm up. And they are able to take down that turret. So first turret of the game is picked up by Noble. Health bars are a little bit low, but Sui Generous, he's the one who has the least amount of HP. So they are going to be backing off, and this is going to be another gold mine going over to Noble.
And that's going to extend their gold lead up to about the 3,000 mark or so, just shy. Again, good body blocks. Noble Esports, they know that the kill potential is there with that one shot, one kill. It is global, so they have been body blocking it pretty much repeatedly. And with that gold now into El Riesco's pocket, he has that Warhorn, which again is putting him just a little ahead of Sweet Generous. He's still now working towards his, but he's a little bit, he's coming up a little bit short now. At the same time, you are going to be looking for that Sora Blade, I think, here from Uni first. But at that point as well, we now have 4 reflex blocks across the board. There is a lot to block from these guys. The Hellfire Brew on one side, we got the Gauntlet on the next, and I mean, even you can even block the one shots if you really want.
And especially, I think you may miss the biggest one there. The Afterburn is a huge one to reflex block, because if you do reflex block the Afterburn, it leaves Glaive in such a bad position and getting absolutely nothing for it. So we'll have to see how things play out. The gold lead, as you mentioned, has been growing, and this is just going to be Noble sieging up this turret. Will Hammers try and answer this? Right now, there's going to be the death from above, but everyone avoids it for now. El Riesgo getting dropped low, but that ult will give him some fortified health. They are going to pick up the kill onto Glaive, but Sweet Generous will be dropped. Xenotech trying to do some work, dueling with T-Tigers, but T-Tigers with that extra movement speed is going to get out to safety. And when the dust clears, it is a 1-for-1, but a turret going over to the side of Noble as the one-shot, one kill does get dodged.
It was a good idea to look into the bushes. They knew that they would probably be trying to chase down T-Tigers, but once they put it right through the bushes, they saw nobody's actually going for it. So whatever, it's just a little bit of a cooldown, 30 seconds. It's not the end of the world, but losing Uni on the back of that was definitely a bit of a blow to Noble, but they were able to get Sweet Generous. He did not have a gauntlet that fight, though, so him going down doesn't actually mean too much up against this next fight where that gauntlet will be available. So I would suspect that you're going to be looking to time out those ults, especially since El Riesco has 60 seconds left on those pups. And those pups, they did a significant amount to keep the team kind of split and on their own. But now in this next fight, having a gauntlet and not having to face up against El Riesco's ultimate, I think, Kinetic could actually stand to take a kill here.
Yeah, and with now the Crucible finished as well for El Riesgo, I wonder if he is going to end up picking up a damage item. A lot of Rome Fortress like to grab something for Crystal Power just to really help with the fight. And that's going to be another Hellfire Brew being used. I feel like Xenotech's really just using that to try and harass, see if they can push someone off the turret so they can go for the siege, but this is going to be Hammers retaliating with that gauntlet. Sweet Generous dropped so low, but everyone from Noble just walks right through the gauntlet thanks to that Crucible. Hammers, they still want to chase, so they know they have them on the ropes, and Xenotech is going to get dropped so low. The Suri Strike picks him up. Actually, it's the Kestrel that got him, but now El Riesgo jumping back in is going to get dropped thanks to Gabe Bizzle. One shot, one kill, not quite enough. I think Uni had about 605 health there because the one shot, one kill did 600 damage and left him so low. Gabe Bizzle actually recalls while Sweet Generous chases Uni out. That, I think they were expecting Uni to try and make that glaive play of afterburning over the wall into the base, but it actually works out for Uni that he just runs around the map and is able to get out to safety. But a great defense from Hammers.
After the first initial engage, the Fountain actually did so much more work for Sweet Generous. That's why they were able to re-engage, because he took a heck of a lot of damage. The double stun combos did put Noble in a little bit of a tough spot, but after the Fountains, they definitely had the hit point advantage, which is why they tried to press it as much as they could. It's a shame they couldn't actually pick up Uni, but that was the bigger advantage to them. They had the gauntlet, they had the death from above, and there were no pups. Now we're in kind of that flip mode. We got 30 seconds until gauntlet, but we still have the ultimate here from El Riesco. The thing is, I just don't see the positioning going their way. So really nice defensive play from Sweet Generous to make that one happen. And, they do hold. As you said, that's the big thing. They keep that turret still going, and with Kraken coming up, you need every turret you can as that buffer for this endgame.
Yeah, that third turret, the last lane turret, we've seen so many teams make their last stand underneath this turret and make comebacks from under this turret that have completely turned the game around, and that's what Hammers need to do here. They're still down by a little over 4,000 gold, but if they can just keep this turret alive, if they can keep defending, they're going to be able to get themselves back into the game. But Noble is looking to set up a pick, and they find Speed Generous. That's going to be an afterward
Oh.
throwing it back in. It cancels the gauntlet, and that is a big ultimate down. El Riesgo taking a lot of damage. He doesn't have that attack of the pack as it was used and didn't really pick up anything. Those pups were taken down really quickly, but a quick kill, despite the low health bars now, does mean that they have a 3-on-2 advantage. Will they be able to do anything with it, though?
Well, I think they're just really going to take control of the jungle because with that kill, as you said, I mean, we have the cooldowns down on both sides. Kraken did just spawn here as well, so now is not the time to push. Now is the time to be a little more conservative, look for those infusions, which you can see a few now. We do got a weapon. Gabe Bizzle had it before the fight. He popped it during. Sweet Generous just picked up his. Tigers actually has both now as well. But it doesn't matter. They just don't have the positioning. They had to wait for Sweet Generous. They don't have the movement speed. Kraken is going to be unleashed here at the 15.5 mark. And Kinetic, I mean, this is now do or die time. How much will they lose on this defense? The point against them is that Sweet Generous doesn't have that gauntlet.
Yeah, these builds coming out of Noble are so aggressive. You can see on Xenotech only a reflex block for defense, and Uni just has that health for any defensive item. They're going so heavy on the offense, and this is gonna be getting that turret. They're able to just siege it up so quickly because of all that damage they had. Honestly, Noble, they've been really kind of avoiding team fights for the most part. A lot of it's just been sieging up these turrets, and that's what they're going to try and do to end the game here. But a great death from both blocks of El Riesgo. Uni is going to go down because of Gabe Fizzle, and that's going to be the fight in favor of Hammers, or is it? Oh my goodness, El Riesgo, 1 versus 3 on this fortress, picks up the kills and picks up the game for Noble. What just happened?
Well, that's why Fortress is just such a popular pick right now. He belies his damage. He can really turn the tides of a fight, especially again, no defensive perimeter really. Sweet Generous not able to keep T-Tigers or Gabe Fizzle going. Now Uni, he admittedly did go in way too deep. He took turret aggro, that's why he got erased. And Xenotech, he was just able to trade enough to make it work out here for El Riesgo. The bleeds, the damage, and of course the Kraken doing work there as well. So, score 1 for the pack attack, as Noble Esports is going to wrap up game number 1. But almost from the get-go, I mean, there was no defensive armor whatsoever for Kinetic. Actually, we picked up 1 armor at the very end for Sky. And with that glaive, like, the counter, trying to use Kestrel and the camo for the stuns, for the disengages, it almost never worked. Like, I didn't really see one combo where they were able to successfully stop a counter and turn it around or initiate with it. So I think when it came down to the Kestrel last pick, I expected a lot more out of it, and it just didn't happen. He went 5-2. Good on Gabe Bizzle. I mean, there's nothing wrong with Gabe Bizzle whatsoever. He's a scary guy. But in this comp, it really came down to that glaive making those plays, and Xenotech backing it up with all those auto attacks. It worked out just really well.
Yeah, for me personally, I feel like a lot of it was actually that lane matchup. Xenotech just really was handling T-Tigers extremely well, and you can see it in the farm numbers and the overall gold. 156 and 9,000 gold compared to T-Tigers 112 and 5,400 on that Sky. Like you said, it definitely wasn't on Gabe Fizzle with sitting at 5-3. Actually was out farming Uni. But then you also look El Riesgo. El Riesgo had almost 1,500 more gold than his jungle carry did on Fortress.
The kills, the assists, the Iron Guard. He was always a step ahead.
Yeah, it was really well played by Noble. They got an early lead, and they were able to just run with it. They never really gave Hammers a big opening to get back into the game.
All right, so we're going to be throwing it back to the desk as we set up for our second game of this quarterfinal.